Throughout history, people have been trying to find the key to prolonging life. And now that search is going high-tech. There are already some promising options out there, but immortality, in this case, might not mean what you think it does. Joining me for a closer look at what lies ahead is futurist Nikolas Badminton. Thank you so much for being here, Nick. Yes. Okay, we've got a board here with some of the ideas that are already being developed about immortality, from microscopic robots that fight disease to cryogenic freezing. That's one that people have heard of. Can you take me through some of these? Let's talk about those disease-battling micro-robots. That sounds more like science fiction than science fact to me.
Yeah, so it's about nanotechnology. These are very, very small, like very few nanometers wide robots that we theorize that we can build, that we could inject into our bloodstream, deliver drugs, attack diseases and whatever. If you think about it, a red blood cell is about 8,000 nanometers wide. These machines can only be at 100, 200 nanometers. They can go in, they can attack cancers, and this is the hope. And there's various people in Canada, University of Waterloo, trying to work out what this future is going to look like.
Now, when you say the future for something like that, because that does sound very interesting to me, how far down the road could something like that be?
Yeah, this isn't coming tomorrow.
No. Okay.
Right. Yeah, so this is something that, you know, we're probably 15, 20 years away from something that's truly effective. But that's not very far in the future if we think about that.
But there's other things on that list as well. We had the cryogenic freezing as well. That's been something that's been around for years. We all believe that Walt Disney froze his head years ago.
Yeah. So I've actually got a friend who wears a band around his wrist. So when he dies, the doctors see that. They fly a team in. They take him down to California and they cryogenically freeze him. So maybe 200 years in the future, they cure whatever problem that he had, or can fix whatever body ailment that he died from. And then suddenly he's living in the future. I mean, is it a far-flung idea? I personally think so. Yeah. But like, it's about dreaming big and thinking about, you know, what we could be in the future.
Well, what we could be in the future is an excellent segue into the next aspect of this, because one of those ideas about keeping people alive isn't in the way that we would traditionally think. There's one option that involves turning a person's brain into a file and essentially storing them on a supercomputer forever. So I guess the question is, are we extending life, or are we redefining what it means to be alive?
Yeah, so I think it's a redefinition. Yeah. When we do think about downloading consciousness and personality, then we are thinking about prolonging the essence of who someone is, rather than to actually have a physical sort of embodiment of that person. And then the fun idea that I like to think about is you can put that in whatever body that you want on a machine. Imagine if your car had the personality of your grandma, right? It could be pretty cool.
That's a sitcom right there.
Yeah, exactly.
To happen. Yeah. One of the other things that I was reading is the ability to 3D print organs. So in a few years, you'll just be able to swap out your old lungs for your new lungs. Is that something that's on the horizon as well?
Yeah, and it's coming really, really quickly. This isn't like 20 years in the future. This is happening right now. There are many companies around the world doubling down on research in this area. You know, livers and kidneys, and we're starting there, more complex organs and like lungs. Yeah, that's coming, and it's coming 5 to 10 years.
But the ethical implications for something like that are very interesting as well, because what if you're buying a pair of lungs that has an expiration date on it and forces you to go back to the doctor? I mean, we really are entering a murky world of ethics, aren't we, when we talk about prolonging and extending life?
Yeah, and this is where governments and companies need to start working together to work out, okay, licensing, you know, oh, my lungs are made by X company and they've got an expiration date. Yeah, is a huge problem. I think we're gonna, especially with medical applications of technology, gonna have to work out that, hey, this is yours and this is yours forever. But what's the warranty on it?
But you know, when it comes to regulation and legislation, it always seems like government is behind innovation. Yep. And in a case like this, what's going to happen when these innovations outpace our ability to protect the individual?
Yeah, I talk about predictive government. In fact, I talk, you know, federally and provincially and all over the world to other governments as well about being predictive, working out where we're going in the future, but working out today and drafting up thinking. And this is why you know, futurists and people that study those technological landscapes are really busy right now, because we're going to be needed more than ever going forward.
Is our definition of death going to change 100 years from now?
You know, what does death really mean?
For a lot of people, it means the end.
Yeah. I think death in terms of the body dying is going to be exactly the same. Yeah. Some people will live to 130, 140 years old. I don't really want that personally. I don't know what I'm really going to be like at that age. But I think, you know, death and memory are two things that are going to be sort of intertwined. and the memory is going to be more real and visceral than ever before.
I think one thing that we can predict is at 130, 140, the music that we're hearing is going to be entirely too loud.
Yeah.
That we know for a fact. Nikolas, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.